Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Araceli, aka Chelly, and today on Chelly's Mental Wealth, our topic is anxiety and panic attacks. Anxiety attacks, panic attacks, similar but not. One is more extreme than the other, and I will get into that. I'm also going to be talking about my personal experience with both because I've experienced anxiety and a panic attack most recently, and I really want to share my experience, so hopefully I can help someone. They might be going through the same thing that I might be going through, and by me sharing my story, hopefully it can help someone kind of connect dots and see that they're not alone, and probably hopefully find solutions that may be different than what they're used to. Now, I'm also going to be talking about some tips at the end, like what are some of the things that I learned in the field that has worked well with the person I'm working one-on-one. But like I've always said, coping skills are not a one-size-fits-all. Everybody's different. Like I recommend so many different things that it's trial and error. I tried, and it's all communication and making sure, okay, does this work, does this work? And then we find one, and then boom. Once you find your coping skill that works the best for you is where you're gonna see progress. You're gonna see progress. All right, so let's talk about anxiety. And why it gets triggered is because it could be for many different reasons. It could be because you've been exposed to a lot of trauma when you were a child, whether any type of abuse, whether it be physical, sexual, neglect, or your environment. There's a lot of violence in your environment that you really can't stay away from, and it's constantly in your face. Your work environment can cause anxiety too. Like I don't think people talk about that often. Like work environments can cause anxiety that you've never had, because you're put in situations that you just didn't know how to deal with, and because you're not coping it in the most healthiest manner, then that's when you start to have like acute anxiety attacks and panic attacks and all that stuff. Also too, if your cortisol is up the yin yang, which the way I've explained it in the past is, your amygdala is, once it gets turned on all the time, the switch is on, because the amygdala it's that feeling where your brain is telling you you're in danger. As soon as all that stuff is going like haywire and your cortisol is just coming, your brain is telling you you're in danger when you're not really in danger, but your body is just reacted to that because of all the exposure that you've gone through, or you don't even know that certain exposures are causing that anxiety. That's why it's important for you to be self-aware by your environment, what you're doing, what you're eating. All that stuff can contribute to anxiety. And then also too, even just a person modeling that behavior in the home. If a caregiver is constantly worried, but there's not really anything to be like really, but the kid doesn't really understand, so eventually they pick it up. They pick it up, even though they don't know what they're worrying about. They just choose to worry the way they're worrying it because it's a coping skill, and they're gonna pick up on that. So that's another thing. Okay, so and now I want to talk about anxiety versus panic attack. What are the difference? What I've noticed the difference is anxiety attacks usually come because that this thing, person, place, situation is going to trigger it. So it's like you're already like, oh my God, I don't like to be around crowds. I'm going to have a panic attack. Like, like it's coming and you're feeling it. Your heart's racing, your palms are sweating. This reminds me of that song. And either it immobilizes you, like you're just like can't move, or you get physically aggressive, like literally like you're like in danger, so you hit, scream, curse, or you can completely, like I said, shut down, not move, not want to talk, avoid things, or you'll run, like literally hide and run and just run. I remember that happened to my son because he was terrified of the mouse, and he literally ran. And it's all anxiety driven. He ran. So that's an example. And another thing that I've noticed too is with panic attacks versus anxiety attacks is that panic attacks usually come out of nowhere. Like literally, like you're fine, and then it just boom, it just happens. Like it strikes you like crazy. Now, I also noticed that panic attacks, there usually isn't any trigger, and it's very immobilizing to a point where like you feel like you're actually having a heart attack. Like you think you're dying. Like I get that. Reading the books, taking my immunology class, like I was like, oh wow. But then actually experiencing a panic attack, now I know why I thought I was having a seizure. Like, I really thought I was gonna have a seizure. So I'm gonna talk about my experience with my panic attack. But I wanted to explain why I know why my panic attacks got triggered. And this is my theory, and me talking to mental health professionals and kind of putting two and two together. Like, I kind of figured this out. I was like, okay, so this is why my panic attack occurred and why that happened to me. So a few weeks before my actual panic attack, I had an altercation, and it was not so great. It was very traumatizing for me, and it was actually the first time that I opened up and talked about it with someone close to me, and it was very liberating for me because like I've always mentioned, like, when we don't talk about things, it's just naturally we might suppress them. And for me, at least, that's how it always comes out. Like, I need to talk about things, and so when I finally talked about it, it helped. But the situation and, you know, my environment and just the reminder and how I am, it just, my depression hit hard. I mean hard. And on Mother's Day, I didn't even want to get up. Like, that's how I knew I was depressed. Like, I didn't want to, like, I just wanted to lay in bed. Didn't want to get up. And when I get depressed, I don't eat. That's a really unhealthy coping skill. Like, I just have no appetite, like zero appetite. So I'm over here, you know, not eating, feeling sad, not wanting to get up. I was fortunate enough to have my sister like motivate me and say, no, sister, you need to get up. You need to like be around people because you're gonna like, it's worse. So I was really grateful, thank you, sis, that she did that. And so that was Sunday, right? So on Mother's Day I went. I still kind of felt shitty, but pulled through, you know. And you know, Monday rolls through, and then Monday night, I'm having conversations and I'm not eating, and I'm stressed out and I'm depressed, and you know, that altercation that occurred, and it's just like, it was scary for me. So I feel like my body was still on danger mode without even me even realizing. Like, I didn't know that my body was just kind of like still on alert mode. So then on Monday, that night, I got up, and there was a lot of things going on in my personal life, and I got up right in the night, and I was about to take a shower, and then I was undressing, and I saw these marks in my body, and I freaked out, literally freaked out. Like, I remember saying to myself, oh my gosh, what do I have? Do I have a disease? Do I have shingles? Like, I literally was thinking, and I was like, am I pregnant? And I was like, and it just like, I remember saying those things, like it went back to back to back. And then I just remember being in the restroom and realizing, holy shit, I'm fainting. I'm fainting. And then I remember like just, and then all of a sudden I remember being on the floor by myself in the restroom, and then I'm like this, and then all of a sudden I'm making this weird like just like just this weird noise, and then all of a sudden I regained consciousness, and that's why I assumed that I had a seizure, because I've seen people have a seizure, and I've seen that they make noises, and you tend to bleed because, you know, you're convulsing, you know, your arm starts to switch. So me waking up like this and then having blood in my hand, I was like, oh my gosh, I had a seizure. And then I was on the floor, got my phone, and that's when I called for help. And then they came, and I was like literally hyperventilating. I started sweating. I felt like throwing up. I told them bring the trash can, and then I threw up. And then I was like, holy but Jesus, I gotta take a shit. And then I was like, please help me. They picked me up. I was naked, you guys. They picked me up, sat me in the toilet, and I was like pooping and just sweating and just profusely sweating. And the whole time I kept telling myself, everything's okay, babe. Everything's okay, bitch. Calm the fudge down. You're fine. Take deep breaths. You're fine. It's on your head. It's on your head. And it helped. It helped. Since I talk a lot to myself, and I know that being in the field and working one-on-one with people, I realize that is the main thing that you can do to yourself. The best thing that you can do is literally talk to yourself. So I literally utilize the coping skills that I've been teaching people on myself, and it worked. I was fortunate enough to have people come, and they were bringing me, you know, ice to cool me down. I think that also helped too. I went into the shower and I cooled down, and but it was still scary. Like I remember being there and still feeling like crap. I didn't really finish taking a shower, and my family were like, "Are you okay? What happened?" And I kept saying, "I think I had a seizure," and they're like, "Are you gonna go to the doctors?" And I was like, "No, it's not that big a deal." I was like, "No," because all I kept thinking about was, you know, the platforms and creating content and making sure that I'm on top of things to provide valuable information for our community, and then also on top of me doing my work, on top of being a mom and all that, and then all the stuff that I'm still like dealing with. And I was like, no, I can't. I don't have time. I don't have time. And I remember I had to submit some stuff for work, and I didn't because of that happened. And I remember waking up the next day and still feeling like crap. Like I felt dizzy. I was just kind of like really like, I was just like it was just like, I can't really describe it, but I felt really dizzy. Didn't really feel like myself. I felt like I was still in attack mode. Like I feel like I was still panicking. Like my body was on attack mode. Yeah, like I feel like my body was still in attack mode. And now fast forward, I'm typing, doing my workload, submitting things that need to get submitted. And then a coworker calls me and tells me, "Oh, this and this, blah, blah, blah. It's not turned in." And that's when I tell them, like, I am so sorry this happened to me. I'm trying to get stuff done. I would have had it done in the night, but this happened to me. And I started bawling. Like, I mean, I just you know, I was just like bawling. And then she basically told me, "No, you need to call your supervisor and let them know, and ask for the day off. You need to go to the doctors. You need to figure out what was that. You can't assume that you had a seizure. Go get yourself checked out." And I was like, "No, I got all these deadlines." And she's like, "Girl, you're acting like a strong Latina, okay? No, like, I get it. Ask for but you need to take care of yourself in order for us, you know." And I was like, I know. And she's like, "Go to the doctors." And I was like, "Okay." And I started bawling, you know, like, because I had my mom tell me to go to the doctors before that. I was had other people tell me to do it, and I was just like, no. And then she finally convinced me, because she pretty much validated that I was literally working my booty off, and that I needed to take care of myself, and made me feel more at ease that, like, yeah, I needed to take care of myself. And yeah, I called and I asked for the day off, and I was really grateful that I have a really supportive team, and I, you know, disclosed everything that occurred. And I went to the doctors and I explained to them everything, and they basically told me, like, "No, you didn't have a seizure, because if you had a seizure, you wouldn't remember convulsing. You remember everything, like literally everything." So then I replay everything back, and I think to myself, like, okay, so I think I fell down slowly, but what I think happened, because I busted my lip, this is what I think happened. I think I did faint. I think I fainted, and I hit my lip in the sink, and I think that's why I was like, oh, like I was just crying out of pain. That I smacked my face, and maybe I thought that I landed, because I swear I landed like this, and then because I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to eat like crap. I don't want to like break something while I fall, because I just knew it was happening. And then so she pretty much confirmed, like, no, you know, but we'll do some testings. This was the first time that I was completely 100% honest with my doctor about certain things that might have triggered it. I was honest about my personal life, what I went through, what I was doing to cope, my recreational use that I do on the side, and that I asked to see if maybe that could be contributing to my anxiety, because when you do cannabis, your body might eventually decline it. They might say, like, no, like your body basically is like kind of like when you get allergic to certain things. Like some people who have eaten strawberries have told me that they can't eat strawberries anymore. Like they're literally allergic to strawberries, but they love strawberries their whole lives and they ate it, and then all of a sudden their body's like, nope. Same thing with pork. And I think that kind of happens with cannabis for some people. And so she was theorizing that maybe that's what's happening to me too. And so we decided to just monitor my heart, because I did explain to her that my heart would help populate, like, you know, do all this weird stuff. And I was worried, you know, that maybe it could be something else. So they did blood work and all that stuff. And luckily nothing alarming came out, and I'm okay. But I will say that after the doctor visit, the next day it was so interesting because like I was like I don't want to go to the restroom. And then someone was telling me like, why are you even you're triggering yourself? Like, don't even think about you getting scared that you might get another panic attack in the restroom, because now you're psyching yourself out. And I'm like, you're right. And what did happen? Oh, I had another one. But it was a mini one, and I was able to control. Like, I literally went in the restroom and I got out in a minute. Like, I was like, and I just jumped out. And I just jumped out. I was like, fudge this. I jumped out of the restroom. I literally jumped out of the restroom. And I remember me getting out, and then people telling me like, do you want me to call your mom? And I said no, because my mom is so anxious as it is that she's just gonna make me feel more anxious. And they didn't listen to me. And my mom came back, and yes, like I was like shaking, like out of like nerves, I think. And then obviously, because she was trying to take my blood pressure. And then all of a sudden, like I was just like, please just give me space, please. And she validated my request, walked away. And as soon as she walked away, I just was taking really deep breaths, reminding myself that it was all in my head, and that I'm safe, and that I'm okay. And then I was able to control my panic attack. And then after that, I realized, because I wasn't eating, like I mentioned, I wasn't eating because I was depressed. It's just my coping. And when I'm really sad, like my appetite just literally drops. Like I have no appetite, like zero. And I realized, I was like, okay, girl, you need to eat. So as soon as I literally started consuming food like regularly, like actually eating in the morning, afternoon, because I think what I would do is eat in the morning and then like literally not eat all the way up until the evening. And I would just eat small portions because my appetite was so low. So I forced myself to eat. I wasn't fueling my body with nutrition, on top of all the trauma that I was exposed to. And then also too, I also take in consideration that I get exposed to a lot of trauma while working in the field. I really do. A lot of therapists hear trauma, they hear it, and I see it on a daily basis. And it's if you're very sensitive, I know that you internalize things like that, and it's hard. You think about things at night, you replay things. How could I have helped? And you feel guilty because you want to help so bad. Like I'm just kind of like, okay, like I have to be mindful of making sure that I take care of myself, and with everything, your whole environment, work, school, everywhere, social media platforms, you gotta really take care of your environment, because it will trigger anxiety. Now, what I think is happening too in regards to like why I feel like social media platforms are triggering anxiety, it's not necessarily because it's a social media. All right, my camera got cut off. So what I was saying was, I don't want to blame social media platforms. I think that it's telling, because when we find other outlets, we tend to use it as coping skills. So I think what we have to be wary of is that I'm noticing that the reason why it might trigger anxiety for adolescents and teens and kids is because they're constantly seeing groups of people, communities, and not being invited and feeling left out, and that causes anxiety. It's just another form of exclusion, and it sucks for anybody to feel that way. And a lot of kids, teens, adults are feeling it. And I think that being aware of it, that it's happening, because it happens in real life. It's just now it's being shown to you all the time, all the time. So that's why it's important that if certain things trigger anxiety, turn it off. Mute it, unfollow the person, mute. The good thing is that now you can mute where you don't have to offend people, just mute. And whatever, if they have the whole thing where they can figure out who blocks, does all that, to each their own. Why? Like people get triggered no matter what, so it's like increasing the self-awareness. And also too, what I've noticed in my experience is that, parents are in their phones too. And if they're not really paying attention to what the kids are consuming, then it's the parents' responsibility, like to figure out, is this causing you anxiety? What are you watching? So I can help. No, don't watch this, watch this. I was like, well, or educate them, like, yeah, watching this will increase your anxiety. So if you want to control your anxiety, stop watching this. I'm telling you. Do restrictions then. Restrict it. Do what you have to do. Educate. But I think that it's important that parents realize that this is happening, and to have conversations. Once again, you need to have conversations with adolescents and say, hey, I know that I went through the same thing as an adult. You know, it just wasn't social media form. I know how it feels like, and it is crappy. This is how you can avoid from feeling crappy. This is, well, listen, at least you have the mute button now. let me teach you how to mute. So you don't have to see stuff that's gonna make you feel like, because you can't change it. That's the thing. You can't change those type of circumstances. You can't change people. You can't force your way into groups. And you know, and then the thing is that like a lot of us are using social media platforms to help with anxiety. Sometimes it can work. It can. It's just finding positive outlets, and it can work. I think like moving people away from that platform, it's impossible, because I've noticed in my experience is that no matter, even if you tell someone don't use social media or this and this as a way of, as a coping skill, as therapy, they're gonna do it no matter what. And that's what prompted me to do this channel too, is like, if you're gonna consume content, then I wanted you to consume positive content, then like consume real real stuff that's going on in our communities. And that's why I was like, well, you know, if I can't stop you from watching social media and watching negative things, then watch some positive things. Let me direct you to some positive content and see if you're inclined to watching that. And that's what I've been doing in the communities. I will recommend certain content, certain outlets that they will utilize in a positive way, and hopefully can steer them away from doing negative coping skills with the platform. That's all you can really do. You gotta work with what you got. You can't fight it. You gotta work with what you got. So that's what I realized. I think we just have to open our eyes as adults that we can't really blame the device. We have to talk to our kids. We're not having conversations. Like, we're stuck. Like, okay, put the phone down and let's have conversations with our kids about what's going on, and say like, I went through this too. Let me help you to the best of my abilities, or at least let me let you know that I kind of went through something similar. And this is a more different way, but it's still the same feeling. You know, you're getting shamed. Okay, so now I'm gonna jump into interventions and coping skills. One of the best interventions and coping skills that I realized that's worked like great is journaling, which is something that I already talked about on the depression video. And I've decided that I'm gonna dedicate a video for that, where you learn how to process the journaling thing and keeping track of what's triggering your anxiety and why and how many times. That's a great exercise. An exposure exercise is great when you actually slowly expose yourself to the thing that causes the anxiety. Works great, amazing. Because I'm more of an active girl, so that's what I do. Or we do like active stuff. I take them out to the community. We do things that will usually trigger anxiety and help coach a person through that. So that's a great intervention in itself. Anything that's sensory works tremendous. It really just depends on the person. Like, some people like to smell things, some people want to touch stuff, stress balls, squishies, water stuff, sand, Play-Doh, slime, little band-aids. Anything that's sensory related can really help soothe someone, will work wonders. Okay, I'm gonna be doing a complete separate video on triggers and certain signs that you can see on a child and adult. That's gonna be a completely separate video, because I'm already running out of time. So I really appreciate everyone for the listening. Hopefully this information is valuable to you guys, for everybody. And if you have any questions, please do not be shy. Comment down below. Please share this video for anyone that would find this video useful. And yeah, we'll talk to you later. Please do not forget to subscribe if you're new to my channel. Don't forget to poke that button. And that's it. I'll talk to you later. Oh no, my outro. So remember, you guys, please invest in your mental wealth. Why? Because life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're gonna get, so you better be ready with your coping skills and interventions, okay? Just like Forrest Gump said. So I'll see you later. Bye.